Hi, I'm Elliot from Now Go See It, and welcome to beautiful Alesund, Norway. And check out this view. Isn't it amazing? And check out this view. Isn't it fantastic? Come with us as we explore the city.
Welcome to Alesund, Norway, a coastal town that's perched between mountains and the sea, spread across islands connected by bridges and tunnels. Much of the town was rebuilt over a century ago in Art Nouveau style after a fire destroyed nearly every building in the city. The town's so photogenic it almost feels curated. Today we're visiting the city on our own from a cruise ship. If you could take a moment to help us out by clicking the subscribe button, we would appreciate it so much. It helps us to keep making videos like this one. You can visit our website, nowgoseeit.com, for more information and port guides for cruise port Alesund. Here's what makes Alesund one of the easiest ports of call. You don't need a shuttle, you don't need to line up for tender, you don't even need to think too hard. You walk off the ship and you're in the heart of the city. This isn't one of those ports where you have to trek half a mile past shipping containers to find a welcome sign. You're docked in town, you're already there. Now, if you didn't book a shore excursion through the cruise line, don't worry. Just outside the ship is a small kiosk with local vendors offering last-minute excursions. You'll find tickets for the hop-on, hop-off bus, guided walking tours, a tiny train that takes you to all the city highlights, and adventure options like high-speed rib boat rides or kayaking adventures. If you're the kind of traveler that likes to wing it, this is the perfect place to come ashore and figure out your day in Alesund. We decided to go full DIY and do Alesund the budget-friendly way. The city has a clean, efficient, and very easy-to-use bus system run by From. Download the From app before you leave your Wi-Fi bubble. With the app, you can buy a 24-hour transit pass for about $18, or you can pay per ride for about $4. You can buy tickets from the driver on board too. Either way, it's cheaper than most organized excursions and gives you the flexibility to move at your own pace. The bus ride itself was a good introduction to the town. As the bus winds past residential neighborhoods and the harbor, you'll start noticing the architecture. As I mentioned in the introduction, Alesund is famous for its Art Nouveau style, which came after a massive fire in 1904 wiped out most of the town. Instead of rebuilding with boring boxes, the town brought in young architects inspired by curved lines, floral motifs, turrets, and dragons. This decision over a century ago keeps tourists like us coming back to see the city. Our first stop was the Atlantic Sea Park, one of the largest aquariums in Northern Europe. This isn't a small-town fish tank with a gift shop. It's a dramatic cliffside complex built right into the shoreline rocks with enormous tanks filled with species native to the North Atlantic. We're talking cod, wolffish, halibut, and these bizarre-looking guys called lumpsuckers that honestly kind of look like Pokemon. There's even a touch tank where kids or curious adults can gently handle starfish and sea cucumbers. Interactive science exhibits surround the tanks to deepen your knowledge or to give 5th graders on field trips something to put on their worksheets.
So we are at Atlantic Sea Park, which is one of Northern Europe's largest aquariums. I love a good aquarium. They're always super fun. This one is pretty decent. I'm going to give it a solid B. It's worth a good hour and a half of your time. It features lots of species from all over the Atlantic, specifically the region around Norway. So there's a lot of fish that you don't see in American aquariums, and they have a really fantastic outdoor section, which has penguins and otters and sea lions, and the water actually comes in from the fjords. So it's kind of naturally built into the landscape. It's a really great aquarium.
Outside, there are open-air coastal ponds where you'll find seals, sea otters, and penguins doing what they do best, being adorable. There's also an awesome octopus-themed play area for kids, and if you step outside the exhibits, the views of the open sea and surrounding islands are pretty great too. It's a perfect spot to just sit and take in the scale of the landscape. After we spent a good amount of time watching fish do their thing, we caught another bus and headed to the Sunnmore Museum, an open-air folk museum that feels like a quiet time warp. The museum grounds are spread out across a forested hillside overlooking the water. It's filled with old buildings and reconstructed houses from Norway's rural past. These are the turf-roofed, timbered-framed kind of homes that look like they were built by hobbits, but were actually used by fishing families, farmers, and shipbuilders. Some of the buildings date back to the 1600s. Many of the buildings are open, allowing you to walk inside to give you an idea of what life was like for people living in the area during the last century and beyond.
Hi, we're here in beautiful Ålesund, Norway, here at the Sunnmore Museum. It's an open-air museum. And you can walk around houses that were built from the 17th to 19th centuries, and you can actually go inside a lot of them. And some of the furniture is actually from that period. There are also historic Viking ships that you can tour around, which is pretty cool. It's pretty inexpensive to get in. It was around $12 US, and it's worth a stop. It's a good hour-long diversion, and you really get a taste of the history of how people used to live back in the old day in Norway.
The coolest part? The boats. The museum has a collection of old wooden boats, including reconstructed Viking ships that you can walk right up to, dating back to the year 690. You get a real sense of what it would have been like to cross cold waters in one of these things with a crew of guys in furs and helmets and no GPS. Inside the museum's main building, you'll find tools, clothing, and everyday objects that paint a picture of life along the fjords a few hundred years ago. It's peaceful, a little bit off the tourist trail, and genuinely fascinating if you like outdoor history museums. We hopped the bus again, still using that same Fram pass, and headed back into the city center, where we took a quick walk through the park. Parkin is a modest green space, but it's where you'll find the statue of Rollo, a Viking chieftain who went on to found Normandy. He's also apparently an ancestor of William the Conqueror, and depending on your family tree theory, might be in the lineage of a whole lot of modern Europeans. The park also has a pond, flower beds, and shaded benches, so it's a nice stop if you need to take 5. We did not climb up to the Askla viewpoint, which is one of the top things to do here. There are 418 steps leading from the city park to the top of Mount Askla, where you'll find a panoramic view that shows off all of Alesund's dramatic setting. You get a view of the islands, the fjords, the mountains, basically the whole package. If you're more motivated than we were, go for it. Or take the city train, a small tourist trolley that loops through the town and gets you there without the leg workout. Instead, we made our way to the Waterfront Marina. This area is full of shops, cafes, and places to poke around for souvenirs. And not just fridge magnets, though yes, there are magnets, but also wool goods, ceramics, candles, and a few higher-end design stores that lean hard into that Scandinavian minimalism thing. If you want to try to bring something home that doesn't scream, "I got this in a gift shop," this is your place. There are plenty of waterfront spots to grab a coffee or a cinnamon bun and just watch the boats. On a sunny day, this whole area feels like it belongs in a movie where everyone's life is effortlessly put together. If you've still got time before you head back to the ship, there are a few small museums right in town. The Art Nouveau Center dives deeper into the story of the 1904 fire and the architectural style that followed. It's small but well designed, and the building itself is a stunner. Right next door is the Kube Art Museum, which leans more into contemporary and modern art with rotating exhibits. If you're more of a fish over fine art person, there's also the Fisheries Museum tucked inside a rustic harborside building. It's all about the fishing industry that helped build Alesund. And finally, there's the Molia Lighthouse. This tiny lighthouse has been converted into what might be the most exclusive hotel room in Norway. It's a single room, just one. You probably won't be staying there unless you booked it a year ago, but it's worth seeing. It's quirky and fun and makes for a perfect photo stop. After a full day, we made the short walk back to the ship, still running on that same bus pass and with plenty of daylight left. No shuttle, no hassle. Just a stroll past the harbor with the turrets of Alesund's skyline still glowing with the bright sunlight that never seems to set here. And that's how you do Alesund on your own from a cruise ship. No tour bus required, just a little planning, a Fram app download, a few bucks for museum and aquarium admission, and a willingness to explore. For more port videos from our Norway and Iceland cruise, view this playlist or check out the channel for travel inspiration from around the world. Subscribing to the channel is the best way to help us keep making great content, so hit that subscribe button. For detailed guides, maps, and more about Alesund, visit our website, nowgoseeit.com. Now go see Alesund, Norway.